Yes, it's that time of year again. Time to start talking about the new iPhones coming out later this year. What's up, guys? Everything Apple Pro here, and coming at you again with the latest leaks and rumors about Apple's upcoming lineup later this year. In particular, the new iPhone 10 Plus, or whatever Apple decides to call it. Maybe they'll spin it into an iPhone Plus version, the 2018 iPhone Plus. I don't know. I really don't know, but I'm going for iPhone 10 Plus. And there are many leaks and rumors about it already. I waited long enough. Let's finally talk about it. So we designed and rendered our very own version of it, what it could look like in comparison to the current one. And really, when you look at it, there isn't too much that's changed. The basic design remains the same. We made some small adjustments, such as the speakers on the bottom have a couple extra holes in them to allow for more sound to reach your ears. Also, the notch on top stays the same, while the screen on the edges of it does expand a little bit, giving you a little bit more area for your status bar. But basically, the biggest change here is, of course, the display and battery, and that's just about it. So we'll talk about everything that's rumored to happen for this year's iPhones, and that's from what we know right now. Of course, it does change with time. The closer we do get to the release, we get more concrete leaks and rumors, and honestly, I think this year might be a little tough. We're not going to be seeing so many components because, man, the iPhone 10 leaks were so bad, and it completely leaked out in full because of the HomePod firmware, thanks to that guy back there. So we'll see what happens with that this year. I'm very excited to see. But from what we know now, let's talk about the iPhone 10 Plus. But actually, guys, there's one thing I do have to ask of you, and it's very important to me. I think it will affect you if you like these kind of videos as well. So please do give us a listen for just a little bit. All right, guys, so this is Slavic, a good friend of mine, also known as the Bro King on this channel. He makes all of the renders that I get to show you guys with these kind of videos, and he's very important to me. He's a good friend, but also a crucial part of this channel. And actually, within the next couple of months, he's getting open heart surgery, and I'll let him explain what that's about.
So basically what's going on is I got an artifact block in an artery, and it makes things a little difficult, get chest pains and all that stuff, so I got to get it taken care of.
Yeah, so I just wanted to set up a post-op relief fund for him, and I was gonna say, if you guys want to pitch in for that, we left a link down below in the description. We're not asking for much, but just something to help the recovery. He's gonna be in bed for a few months and then recovering for up to a year, and just to help him cover the bills and anything he needs in the meantime, that'd be cool. I'm also donating all the proceeds of this video to him as a result, so anything extra, we really appreciate it. And he's just very important to me and this channel, I think, and the quality of it in general. And I want to ensure that he continues to have a good life after his surgery in a couple months here. Thanks for hearing us out, and we do appreciate if you leave $1 or $2 down below in the description. So I have mentioned the new iPhone lineup on this channel before, but let me go ahead and cover that very quickly. Apple will be releasing 3 new iPhones later this year. They're going to switch that around a little bit and make 2 high-end models and 1 budget model. This way they're sort of simplifying it, but not really, because they have so many other iPhones they're going to be selling in the background, and I don't know, it's just a mess. Honestly, I think Apple needs to work on their lineup, but we will be having a 6.1-inch LCD base model. There's really not much info on it aside from the sizing and stuff like that. Mostly I want to talk about the flagships, the iPhone 10 and 10 Plus. The 10 Plus will be a new 6.5-inch version of Apple's current iPhone 10, because really this thing is closer to an iPhone 8 in screen size than it is to an iPhone 8 Plus. Content just appears bigger, videos appear bigger on an iPhone 8 Plus. It's not the same experience definitely going from one or the other. If I pick up a Plus version right now, it really seems big in comparison to the 10 that I've been using for a while. So Apple wants to bridge that gap and give you the Plus experience, but with the organic LED display and just everything great that comes with the iPhone 10, but in a larger form factor. That's basically the goal of the iPhone 10 Plus. And I want to clarify one thing. Apple will not be spending any time trying to fit a fingerprint or Touch ID sensor into the side of the iPhone, the back of the iPhone, or the front. If you guys had any hope of Apple bringing that back, the chief engineer at Apple has said that Apple spent no time in the development of the iPhone 10 looking into those options, and they don't plan on it in the future. So Apple will not be bringing that back. Face ID is the future, and it is here to stay. Of course, the biggest difference between the iPhone 10 and 10 Plus is the screen estate. You're getting a much larger area for you to view your content in particular diagonally. So as this visual does portray, the iPhone 10 Plus gains a lot of diagonal screen estate, not so much side to side, top to bottom, yes, but mostly diagonally. And that's what's important for your content to appear bigger. Not only that, but the screen will be sharper as well. Currently on the iPhone 10, we have a 458 pixel per inch density, which is pretty dang good. It's the sharpest we've ever seen on an iPhone. On the iPhone 10 Plus, that will be getting even better to between 480 and 500 pixels per inch. One thing that I do kind of worry about though is that LG is supposed to be the sole supplier of the display on the iPhone 10 Plus. Apple's trying to bring in more manufacturers so that way they don't get a bottleneck in production because they can't produce enough of the displays. Unfortunately though, their quality in screens for mobile phones has been questionable. Yes, they do make the best OLED TVs, but the quality control for their phones just hasn't been the best in the past. So I do hope that they figure that out with Apple. I definitely don't think it'll be as comfortable to hold because it will be wider and it's going to be made of the same materials, so quite slippery as well. Main design differences that I'm seeing, basically the status bar has a little bit more room on the left and right. Maybe this is our guess, the speaker grills will have a couple additional holes to accommodate for the extra width, but otherwise it'll look almost identical to an iPhone 10, of course, just a little bit larger. I really don't know what Apple could do to make it look different from this year's, aside from the color of the phone, which I'm sure that they will adopt a new color. I'm hoping that it's this gold one that we were inspired by the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus series for. And of course, more battery life is always welcome. The iPhone 10 and 10 Plus coming out later this year might actually have additional battery life, battery densities of up to 10% higher due to a change in the battery structure of the iPhone 10 currently. Inside, we'll find an L-shaped battery with a divider with a regulator that controls two cells on the battery. Unfortunately, that does take up extra room in the iPhone. So this year, ET News is reporting that Apple is going to be removing that center divider and making an entire L-shaped battery one combined shape, thus removing the regulator in the middle and adding 10% more density to the battery, thus giving you more battery life. And this is all great, but Ming-Chi Kuo is saying that the iPhone 10 Plus will receive an additional 25 to 30% more density because the battery itself can be larger. So that's awesome. I personally get fantastic battery life on the iPhone 10, but with these two advancements on the iPhone 10 Plus, you're going to get maybe 2-day battery life one can hope for, because right now on the iPhone 10 that's certainly not possible. And this one is actually quite exciting. Apple is developing its very own in-house power management chips for the new iPhones, and as early as this year's iPhone 10 Plus, we could see them being put to use. Basically what this chip does is it regulates the amount of power that it sends out and controls everything from one area. Right now, Apple uses a bunch of third-party chips to do that, and when they build their own, not only could they actually save space in the iPhone, but save a lot of battery life. And I'm actually very excited to see the capabilities of the new Apple A12 chip. The A11 is a monster. This thing should be, on another level entirely. So this thing is going to be built for the first time ever on a 7nm platform, which is the first time ever for an Apple product. It'll be more efficient while possibly being even faster than the A11. Also, TSMC is exclusively going to be building it, as now there will be no discrepancies between Samsung and TSMC processors. TSMC will be making them on their own due to their superior techniques. I wonder what kind of Geekbench scores we can expect from that. So possibly a 6,000 single core, maybe 5,000 single core, and then a 12,000, 14,000 multi-core. Absolutely ridiculous. And actual RAM specs are detailed to be 4GB for the iPhone 10 and 10 Plus later this year, and 3 for the cheaper 6.1-inch model, according to Ming-Chi Kuo. And because of all of the legal battles, the mess between Qualcomm and Apple in the past year, Apple will be going exclusively with Intel for the modem in the new iPhone 10, 10 Plus, and the 6.1-inch model. It'll be capable of 1 gigabit download speeds, finally gigabit in an iPhone, not that anybody will be able to take advantage of that, and 225 megabit upload speeds. And the great thing is that Intel will support CDMA in their new modems, so that way they can have one modem and no more discrepancies between Qualcomm and Intel modems in various iPhones. And the new iPhone will use a new material called liquid crystal polymer in the antenna design to further boost transmission speeds. This is what Ming-Chi Kuo did detail in his report also. And there was a rumor that Apple would be changing up the lens layout on this year's iPhone, but Ming-Chi Kuo is saying the dual lens setup is here to stay, and the actual lenses within them, the 6 plastic lens setup that they have right now, will not be changing to a 7 plastic lens setup, which the rumor did detail. So it's pretty much going to stay the same. There won't be much camera changes. Maybe in the software, the A12 will be able to handle more things. We'll see about that, but no actual physical changes are detailed. And one thing that I was very happy to learn is that this year's iPhones could be the most reliable in recent history, because Apple will be working solely in iOS 12 on reliability, to remove lag, to remove crashes, bugs, and focus on stability. And as a result, it could build the new iPhones alongside this new firmware and have some of the most stable released iPhones ever made. And I'm very excited for that. And take this one with a grain of salt, but DigiTimes is reporting that Apple might not have two organic LED models later this year. Apple would only be releasing the 6.5-inch iPhone 10 Plus with an organic LED display, and then the 5.8-inch one would get an LCD as well as the 6.1. Honestly, this lineup does not make sense to me, so this rumor definitely take with a grain of salt. And DigiTimes is claiming that the iPhone SE 2 will still be happening, no 3D touch or anything like that. It'll be a base entry-level model, but will be shipping alongside the new iPhones later this year. And let's talk about that 6.1-inch iPhone model. I briefly mentioned it on this channel before, but it will be a mid-tier iPhone for Apple at between $700 to $800, which I know Apple was selling the flagships at a few years ago, so it is pretty expensive, but still compared to the 10 and 10 Plus will be on the cheaper side. It'll have an LCD display, no 3D touch, but it will still have the cutout or the edge-to-edge display, the same one as the iPhone 10, so it'll still be pretty premium, just a neutered version of the iPhone 10. No 3D touch, I think that's a pretty big one for me. I could never skip that. Also, it'll have a metal back, aluminum. It will not be made of stainless steel, and no wireless charging, of course. It will have Face ID and the True Depth camera up front, so that capability will be there. It'll have the A12 processor and a slightly bigger battery due to a smaller logic board due to advancements in the field, and a single lens camera on the back, so no dual lens. It'll be on the cheaper side, but hey, it will have an emojis. And Apple will be discontinuing the current iPhone 10 later this year just because there would be too many infringements with the lineup later this year. It would look too similar, there wouldn't be too much to differentiate it, and many consumers would just go for this one because of how similar it is to the more expensive models coming out later this year. So that's everything you've been hearing about Apple canceling the iPhone 10, basically just discontinuing it as they would any other model. And personally, there are three things that I would like to ask of Apple to bring to the iPhone later this year. Number one, ProMotion display, the 120 Hz refresh rate. We have it for the touch input on the iPhone 10, so that's half the battle. Now I'd like to see it to actually where you'd use the thing and it would be 120 Hz. With an organic LED display, it would be the world's first and would be pretty incredible. 2, IP68 water resistance. I don't trust this thing in the water without a case just because it's not that great at IP67, so I'd like to see them bump that up. I don't think it'd be too difficult. And 3, the rose gold or the gold color from the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus. Bring it over to this guy. I absolutely love it, and I would love to see it on an iPhone 10 Plus that I would be using later this year. So I don't ask for much, that's pretty much it. Now let me know down below in the description which changes you would like to see on this year's iPhone 10 Plus model, because we might actually take those suggestions and build an ultimate iPhone 10 Plus out of it. And otherwise, guys, thanks for watching. That's everything we know about the iPhone 10 Plus coming out later this year. And again, I want to thank you for participating in the GoFundMe if you guys want to drop a couple dollars for Slavic down below. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for the next one. Peace.